to the Bayview Podcast with hosts Andrew Clark and Chris Emery. This is designed to be a discussion on all things life and faith. We hope this serves as a weekly resource and encouragement to you.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Bayview Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Andrew, joined, as always, by Mr. Chris Emery. How are you?
Good, man. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Good to have you here today. Always looking forward to our time together each and every week right here, Bayview Podcast. And what I love we're doing right now this summer is we're doing our best to fill every week just with guests and stories. Because I realized that, and maybe I've said this before, I know we've talked about this before, like when we preach or teach, that's us telling you what God wants to do. And that's cool. That's a big part of it. But what I love when we have guests is there's these stories of this is what God has done or God is doing.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think there's so much more street cred with that.
Yep. Yeah, I think we all have a story. And that's like a super cliche line. Like, everyone's got a story and it's worth telling. But it's true, though. Whether it's the most dramatic, crazy, should be a movie, or the most bland, generic, it's like, hey, God is still in that and still writing that story, and it's still special, and he views it as unique, and so it's worth hearing them. And we've had some really cool guests on in the past, and so this is really cool to kind of be in this season of that.
So what actor would play Andrew Clark in the movie?
Chris Pratt, probably.
Chris Pratt, is that what you get told a lot?
That's what I get told a lot. Yeah, that or Kevin James, and I'm really working hard to move away from Kevin James. Don't know Paul Blart me, but that's the old me. That's the thick me is Kevin James. But yeah. What about you?
Man, probably any bald dude that's not The Rock.
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel, maybe. What's funny is back when American Idol was kind of still new and hot and really, really the big thing is when Chris Daughtry was making his run. Well, I had really let my beard grow out quite a bit. And I was at some real fancy dinner somewhere. I can't remember where I was, but at some fancy yacht club type vibe thing. And I walk in, and these ladies walk up. It was the week he got voted off, and they genuinely are coming to console me for getting voted off.
Crazy.
Yeah, they really and so I let it roll.
I'm not over you.
Like, it's all good, baby. I'm gonna be all right. So
I can see. Is it Stanley Tucci? He was in Conclave.
Yeah.
I can see that, or Howie Mandel. I can see that.
Howie Mandel, definitely.
I can see that vibe.
Dude, that bro's 69 years old. He's gonna be 70.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's the beauty of being bald.
I'm not saying
it's
you're
timeless.
old. I'm just
I am old. I am old, man, but it's not. No, I'm all good. So, speaking of superstars,
what a transition.
We got a rock star with us today, no doubt about it. So, hey, our guest today is someone here from Bayview, here in the community, entrepreneur, believer, follower, businessman, musician, basketball musician.
Yeah,
do you play?
No, I don't play any music. So
No, sculpt? Do you sculpt? How about sculpt, or do you sculpt? Okay.
No,
well, anyway, we'll stop right there.
Creativity is not there for me.
We got KJ Sayer with today. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Andrew texted me, and I instantly responded. I just said, I don't have the credentials for this. I was being serious, actually. In college, I had pretty decent GPA. It was like 3.9 something. My lowest grade was Intro to Christianity. So I'm not just saying that. I actually just don't have the credentials for this.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, so we're starting low here.
I'm not even sure that was that great of a GPA for me. I'll be honest with you. I think I skipped that class a lot of times.
Yeah, they said you got to take a religion class, and I saw that one. I'm like, I've been in the church my whole life. Like, I can nail this thing.
Yeah.
It should have been Intro to Catholicism. I mean, I went to the Catholic college, so I probably should have known that. But
there you go.
I got in, and I was like, I don't know any of this stuff. I thought this was going to be an easy class, and now I'm going to have to grind for this.
No, Catholicism, that's a deep history.
Yeah, it was deep.
That's a lot. So, well, cool. All right, give us the, before we'll dive in deeper, but give us the 30-second overview. Who are you? What are you about? Family, status, what's going on with life right now?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm a husband to my beautiful wife, Katie, who holds everything together. I'm always pushing, and somehow she just manages to keep those pieces together. We just had our first baby, son, Jack, which is what we're doing right now. He's the entire picture of what's going on. So he's kind of running the household. I'm a real estate agent as my full-time career. I've got a dumpster rental company that I own with my parents. And then we've got a couple different investment properties in our own house that was an investment that we are now living in full-time.
Wow. And all this before the age of 30.
Yep, 27 right now.
Dude, rock
That's
on.
epic.
That is pretty epic. All right, so, I mean, we'll hear about the businesses and all that cool stuff and how you bring Jesus into that. But step one is how does it feel to be a dad?
Oh, it feels great. We were just talking about this downstairs. It's like everything he does is so cool, and I'm like so proud. I'm like, oh, you smile. I'm so proud.
Yeah.
Of him. Like I can't wait till he actually does something to be proud of. That it's gonna be like, whoa! Like I can't even imagine what that feeling is.
Yeah.
Yes.
How old is Jack?
Just about 3 months now.
Wow. Yeah. I think somewhere around that 6-month mark, it really amps up.
Yeah.
Because it's like every day there's something new, and that same thing. You're just proud of the silliest little cool things, and
Yeah, in that first month, I didn't even know what was going on. It's just like changing diapers at 3 a.m., figuring out how to give bottles. Like, I don't know what that was.
Yep. Yeah, you truly don't know until you know. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing to prepare you for the firstborn or the new, even the third or fourth. Like, there's just nothing that prepares you until you're just in it. And then I'm sure, like, would it just feel natural? Katie, you're probably mind blown by Katie, right? It's just like,
Dude, I
as a
can't
mom.
believe it. I don't understand it at all. I'm like, how do you know that? How did you know we need those things? And then I'm like, oh, I wish they had like something. And then she's like, oh yeah, we got this over here. Like we got 2 of those. I'm like,
we have two.
what? How do you even know to get this stuff? We
she's
never
been
had a
preparing
baby.
for 9 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
reading the books that
Yeah,
we were
read
supposed
the
to
books.
read.
Yeah.
I remember I was like, hey, read what to expect when you're expecting. I'm like, I'm not expecting.
Yep.
What are you talking about? No, it's so
Yeah.
good, and you're right. You don't know till you know. I remember, I don't know if you guys had this experience. I remember when my oldest was, before he was born, people trying to describe to me the feeling, preparing me. And, of course, they fell incredibly short of what it is, and I don't even try. Like it's a waste of time. When you know it, you'll know it. When you feel it, you'll feel it. And it's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I cried for the first. I cried for the second. I was like, the third, I'm a vet now. Cried for the third. Like, it's just like, it just is what it is. Like, it just is such an incredible feeling. And so I love that you're in the middle of that, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That's
what a
too good.
blessing for sure.
And proud of the littlest things is funny. I'm rewalking this with my grandsons now and the granddaughter, but my oldest grandson, who's getting ready to be 4, FaceTimed me just a couple of days ago, and like looked deep into the phone, got right up in the phone, was like, "Pops, I pooped on the potty and it was a big one." And I'm like, I'm so proud of you, buddy. Like, well done. Good job, And it was just perfect, right?
Yeah, those are things you just don't think about until it happens.
When it happens, you'll know when it happens. When Jack gets to that age and potty train's coming around, you realize that you've been spending a car payment on diapers all month. Yeah, every month you'll be
It's
like,
clutch.
let's go.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, that's cool, man. So, so we were excited to have you on here because we do know you have so much going on, and you and your wife are just like this super cool couple that it's not just about business. I know there's a mission behind it. And I know you get this directly from your mom and dad, who we are going to have on the podcast as well at some point. But just tell us a little bit about, your Jesus story, maybe. I mean, I know, the church word testimony, but what's your Jesus story? Like, how have you found yourself where you are with your faith and just everything God's doing?
Yeah, so it's sort of interesting what we were talking about right before this and how you're getting people on here for stories, because I've been in the church my whole life. I mean, my parents have always been really strong believers, great role models. And I wouldn't say that I always claimed that I was a Christian, but I don't think I had the relationship with God until a couple years ago. And so within the last couple years, it's been just something that I now know that I have that relationship with him, and I kind of view it in a different perspective. I think the biggest thing that brought that on was, I'm a doer. I'm wired to just go. I love problem solving. I get obsessed over little projects. If I don't know how to do something, like I got to go to YouTube and figure out how to get it done.
Nice.
And so those are great attributes on the outside looking in. I always, one of the things, Katie will bring something to me, and no matter what, I'm just like, oh, we'll figure it out, or I'll figure it out. Like, I can get it done. It's fine. And so I think I didn't realize then, but what I was doing is I was putting this barrier of pride in front of everything. And so while it looks good on the outside, from the inside with my relationship with God, I didn't have to ask for help.
Sure.
I've been really blessed with a good life. We do well, decent financially. We never have to stress about that. And so for me, I haven't had to be like on my knees like, God, I need help with this problem, or I haven't released it to him. We talked about, you gave that sermon about releasing your business and releasing everything to God. And I just really didn't understand what that was. And then we were trying to get pregnant, and we were trying for a while, couldn't do so. We were having some challenges with that. we actually were getting positive pregnancy results, and then we would go in and they kept telling us like, oh, you had a chemical miscarriage. So it's like miscarriage in the first 4 to 6 weeks or whatever it is.
Yep.
Well, then that happened a second time. We're like, hey, we're getting positive pregnancy tests, and we're going in. And then they're like, well, maybe Katie has an antibody that's just giving positives, but not actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really tough. I mean, it was tough for me, but it's especially tough on women, really tough on Katie. And, you know, there's a lot of people battling infertility that I really feel for, because I didn't understand until then. It's just like, you know, you ask people like, hey, when are you guys going to have kids? Like, you just got married. And that question becomes really tough. Yeah. And so that got tough for me, but it really was the first time where I was like, oh, I can't figure this out. Like, I can't solve this by myself. There's nothing I can do. And so that was when I really had to start praying and just be like, God, like, I gotta give this to you. Like, you have to help me, guide us if we're not supposed to be pregnant, like, and have a kid. Like, what does this look like? What does our life look like? And, you know, Katie and I would pray together, and that was just really when I sort of had that relationship built with him.
Super cool. Super cool. Yeah, I mean, I think that's I think some people don't see that version of a story as powerful, because we hear the stories oftentimes like, well, I had nothing, I came from nothing, and I had to trust in God, and that's certainly a huge version of a story also. But there is another side where like I've just never really needed God, and sometimes I think that path might be more difficult to find your way to Him, to begin to rely and surrender and submit and all those things, when really I've been doing pretty well on my own. Yeah. And I think that's kind of that story we see, you know, even with the rich young ruler, when Jesus interacts with him. I think that's kind of where he's at. Like, I'm doing fine. Like, I got money, I got stuff, I'm following all the rules. I'm good. Yeah. And I think that there is that path. Yeah.
If there's always been success and yes, then why would I stress? Why would I ask for help? Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. Did you find, I think, in the midst of that you're going to church, you're doing that. What really did you find changed for you personally? Were there things that you, besides praying, that you started doing in your personal walk? Like, how do you see your relationship grow?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a few different things. One, it just, as soon as I started praying, and it's like, all right, like, God, I believe in you, and I'm praying, and I'm asking you to like take over everything. I then became curious, because like I said, I get obsessed over things. And so then it's like, okay, so like, why is this the case? Or like, I've sat and listened to these sermons, but like, can I go deeper? And so I started reading my Bible a lot more intently. Like, I always had my Bible, I'd read it occasionally, but now it's like, I read it, I pray before, like, God, just open my mind, open my heart. Like, let me get what I'm supposed to get out of this text, and then take it into my life after this. And so just that small change alone, going from that, or from what I was doing before, and just, you know, kind of doing the walk very lukewarm, to all of a sudden like, okay, I have this curiosity, and now I'm trying to go the next step. That really made a big difference. And then the other thing is just, I realized, you know, we have these messages, both of you guys you have that where you say like, you're squirming in your seat because you feel like they're talking to you. We've had both of those where it's like, the Sabbath, like, dude, I'm not good at resting. Like, I just go and I go and I go. And so like, I think there's a lot of people that I see that it's like, you know, I'm struggling financially, and like, I'm really just like hoping that something happens. And for me, I'm always like, well, like, you can just go work a little bit more. I have the opposite problem where it's like, I'm always going, and I have to convince myself to slow down and like take time. So I've really been trying to just balance it out a little bit. I think there's a few years there. It's not like I was like obsessing over money or anything, but it's just that I'm growing this business. There's this problem. There's this wall that I'm trying to scale, and it's like, I'm just going. And so really been trying to dial that back. I've got like 4 pillars that in the last couple of years I've kind of figured out is what balances my life out and make sure that I'm optimized with everything. Yeah. And so it's just faith is the first one, making sure that I'm actually building that relationship with God. The second one is family and relationships, making sure that, you know, before, like, people would ask me to hang out, and it was always no matter what, because I was like, I got stuff to do. Yeah. And I've realized I've got to take time, or if I'm working too hard, then my relationships are going to struggle with my wife, and it's like, I don't have the patience that I should have because I'm not rested. Yeah. And then fitness is in there. If I'm not eating well and working out, then everything else starts to kind of decline. My attention to detail declines. And then the last one is just, faith, family, fitness, and then finances. And so there's been those times where, with both finances, businesses within that too, there's been times, a lot of the times, where that's been the biggest pillar.
Sure.
And then I'm not balanced because of that, and everything else is out of order. And so what I really realized is that I have to have all 4 of those, and I have to be dumping into those. And if any of them start to go out, I mean, fitness can be the same thing. I love going to the weight room, and then all of a sudden I'm working on that, but I'm skipping my Bible time.
Sure.
And so those are really the 4 things that I've been trying to focus on and have made that difference in my life.
So, a couple of things. One, I love that you're clearly the type of person that you hear something preached or taught or read something, and you quickly go to the mindset of, okay, here's the truth presented. How do I now take this and apply it? And I think that's just that awesome boots on the ground application that so many people miss. I think there's a lot of people that will sit in our service or really any other church or listen to a Great Communicator podcast or something online, and they'll hear like, that was awesome, and walk away with zero either intention or understanding of, okay, there's application and execution on the back end. Like, this is meant to deeply saturate and change your life versus like, oh, cool, see you next Sunday. So I love that that's about you. That's what you're about. Break something down for me, though, because I think this will really speak loudly to a lot of people. You said that you had to reach that point of one of your pillars being finances, your businesses, where you just had to really surrender that and give that up. I think people often misunderstand that when we surrender something to God, that they think He's just going to take it. And that's not at all how this goes. So what was that journey like for you? Because obviously what you're describing is you'd like to get things done, do that. That's that pride of accomplishment, which isn't terrible in proportion and in the right heart. But like any other pride, it could be a pride that overpowers everything else and gets everything out of balance. Yep. So what was that journey like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I got to give AJ a shout out, which you guys just had on. Yeah. He put me onto this book, Productivity, A Practical Theology of Work and Wealth. I don't know if you guys have read this, but like I said, for me, I always kind of separated the two, and I thought that I couldn't work hard and do all these things and have a great relationship with God. Now that I'm diving in to the Bible and to other readings and everything, I'm like realizing like, oh, you had that completely backwards. Like, you weren't paying attention at all. And so it's like, I mean, I just got done reading through Proverbs just really quick, all that. And it's like, oh, they talk a lot about not being lazy. It's a lot about hard working and glorifying God through your hard work. Yeah. I just want to read this short passage from this book really quick. Yeah. Just because this book really changed my perspective on that. Yeah. So it says, hold on, I finish up. It says, Christians who want to be faithful in their work, their internal motivation will also contribute to the quality of the work. We are to put our hand to the work, doing the best we can with it, and we are to keep our hands off of the future. That's the hardest part for me. Do you see a man skillful in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before obscure men. Proverbs 22-29. Notice how this works. What happens in the future, the standing before kings part, is the hands of God. My work is in the hands of God also, but in a different sense. So my responsibility is, so to speak, whatever is in front of me, there in my workbench or desk or counter, I should do a first-rate job with that, and other things will fall into place. And as they fall into place, it will not be the impersonal doing of Adam Smith's invisible hand. Every blessing a Christian ever receives is from a pierced hand. So that right there
that's cool.
Was just a really good for me to like understand I'm called to work hard and get this task done in front of me. What I need to stop doing is pushing so far into the future and always worrying about all of that. I'm going to give that up to God and say, like, I trust you to do what's next. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do right now and do the best job I can at it.
Yeah. You take it as more like a call to be more present, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, it's that He's got tomorrow. So here's today. Here's the gift of today, that whole idea.
Yep.
So right here, right now, that mentality.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's cool.
When I think, I think oftentimes we misunderstand some of the teachings that come out of the parable of the talents. Like we the parable short version, master gives one guy 5, one guy 2, one guy 1. The guys with 5 and 2 go out and they work hard, they invest it, they double it. The guy with 1 buries it and hides it. And sometimes we can come at that angle as a story of laziness, but it's really more or less a story of fear. And worrying about the future, because his response to his master is like, listen, I know you're a shrewd businessman. I know that if I lost this, I'd be punished, and so I didn't want to do that. So he was looking so far ahead and worrying, and that he failed to do what was right in front of him. And I think that's that parable. The application is like, listen, God gives us what is right in front of us. We work hard. We put ourselves fully into that. And like my life verse is 1 Corinthians 10:31. Whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. And that's a verse that hit me very, very hard, not long after college, but just recognizing that every aspect of my life is called to glorify God in the way I commit myself, the way I apply myself, the way I carry myself. And I think that's where we really begin to see this whole thing come into light of everyday application.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
Yeah. So how are you finding, of those, how do you find yourself back to when I love that you have the 4 pillars. I think those are awesome. How do you recognize when it's out of whack? What are your, have you kind of noticed your own red flags? And then how do you recalibrate? How do you reestablish balance?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I got to go back to my wife because she really does a great job of reading what I'm doing before I do it or before I can read that I'm doing it.
Yep.
And so, there was a time as soon as the baby was coming and we were like a month away, I was also trying to grow my real estate business as fast as possible. I just started another YouTube channel. That was my second one. And I was like going all in on that. I set some goals that I didn't even really need to set, but I just liked the idea of trying to accomplish that. Mm-hmm. We're renovating a cabin right now. We had just got done splitting off and selling land on that. Still operating my real estate business, and now all of a sudden I'm stressing out about like, oh, we got a baby coming, and now I got to do all this sort of stuff, and I want projects done around the house and all of this. And so I was not sleeping well. I was stressed out, and she really just calmed me back down, and we sort of thought about the different things that were actually important to us, and I realized like, okay, I can't do all of these things exceptionally well. And 100% of the time, what happens when I start spiraling like that and going way too deep and getting stressed out is that those pillars, my faith pillar drops down. I'm not spending the time with God. I'm not reading my Bible before I go to the gym. It's like I was up late and I got a bunch to do tomorrow, so I wake up early to go to the gym. And then I'm like, well, I got to not read my Bible this morning then because I have so much stuff to do. And so, again, as soon as one of those go out of balance, and the majority of the time, if the faith one is what drops, then everything else is out of calibration. So for me now, I know like feeling a little bit out, I'm feeling stressed out. I got to make sure I'm diving back in, I'm spending time with God, giving him these things, stop trying to stress about it for myself.
So good. Yeah. And I think that's probably the most common response that everyone has when the chips are down, when life is stressful, when pressure's on. I think most people, if they were honest, would be like, okay, well, the first thing to take a hit is my time with Jesus. Mm-hmm. Most people say that the thing that needs to sacrifice, and I mean, I think we have nice ways of painting it. I think we can say, well, God will understand. He gets it. He knows. There's some grace in there. We're not legalists, like all that. That's all really nice ways of saying it's just not that important to you.
Yeah.
And that's the reality, right? I mean, it's just not that important to you because we don't miss the things that really are important to us. Yeah. And when we do, we really grieve over it. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, I'm sure there's huge seasons in my life where I've not been putting the time into that either. Personally, we talk a lot about, in our situation, being vocationally, that it's very easy to do the work of helping everyone else in their relationship with Jesus at the cost of our own. And so like I kind of felt this conviction like 20 years ago, I think, where I realized that my own spiritual walk had gotten super dry. Like my distance between me and Jesus gotten really wide because I was working so hard in the church. Working so hard doing the job. And I felt like, no, I was in the Word today. I studied for a message. I studied for this and this thing and that. And the whole time, it would have been like what we read in Luke. If I had to stand before God in that moment, I think it would have been like, yeah, great, you did all these things in my name, but dude, I don't know you.
Yeah.
And I think that's where so many of us have got to continue to backpedal because accomplishment is a drug. It is an addiction. It is that thing that fuels a lot of us. And I'm the same way. Like I can go. I want to work hard. I want to set goals and accomplish things. And I love it when I see, things being achieved and all that. But at the end of the day, if I come to like this moment where I've worked myself into a fever pitch my whole life, but I stand before God, he's like, man, I didn't know you.
Yep.
And your family didn't know you. Well, now, what have I really accomplished?
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand that. The same way, like from the outside perspective, everyone would say I was a Christian, before I dove into this a couple years ago. And it was like, I was still praying before every single meal, but it just wasn't that connection. Prayer, it almost feels like it wasn't getting there because I wasn't truly thinking about that relationship. Yeah. And so, I mean, I completely understand that. And and there was something else you mentioned in there too, and something that I still don't have the answer to, but I'm trying to figure out the balance. I think I'm working closer to it, is like, how can I be content with what I have without being complacent? That's always that battle that I have, is what does it look like to be content with what God's given me and the blessings that I have, but I don't want to start being lazy. And so I think there's also times where I can slow down a little bit, and I'm almost forcing myself to do that. And then all of a sudden I get stressed out because I'm like, all right, now am I just being complacent with this? And so that's been something I've been trying to think about and pay attention to lately too.
Sure. And you know what's funny is I think there's also a misunderstanding or misconception at times that people think that contentment comes with stuff or accomplishment or financial security. Like, you know, and it's usually people that maybe they're struggling in that area, and they're like, well, if I just had enough money to pay my bills, or just had this or that, then I'd be content. The reality is that's not at all how that goes. In fact, it probably gets worse. And that the more success you have, the more you accomplish, the more maybe you gain and God blesses you with, well, then all of a sudden it's like feeding this hungry animal, and contentment continues to elude you.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so fascinated by Paul's words when he says, you know, straight up, like, listen, I figured out the secret. I figured out the secret of contentment. And that is that whether I have a little or a lot, which I've had both, whether I'm, you know, high up here or being beaten and thrown out of the city, I've done both. The contentment is just who I am in Christ, and that I'm his in this relationship. And I've worked with a lot of people, and myself included, only because I've been on this journey, you know, 20 years ago, God sent me on this path myself, where it felt like everything I touched turned to gold in ministry. Like everything was just blown up. But man, I was driven by my own pride and my own accomplishment. And there becomes this place, I think contentment for me is this absolute level of open-handed living. And it's like, all right, here's my posture, God. Everything I've got, everything that I'm going to continue to hold and accomplish, it's all yours. And the challenge is, the more success, the more he blesses us, the more tempted we are to begin to close our hands around it. Because now there's something of substance. Now it's something real. And what happens is we begin to close our hands. This applies to church or business or anything. Like, you know, your businesses are taking off. Well, the more success your businesses have, the more money coming in, the more, you know, all that. It's harder to live like this.
Yeah.
It's hard to continue. But this is a posture that is not just a posture of surrender, it's also a posture of receiving. And people don't understand that the closed hand posture is a posture of, yeah, you may hold on what you have, but God can give you nothing in this posture. You can't receive anything with your hands closed. So now he's like, listen, it's not that I'm not trying to bless you. Your posture's changed. And so I think and that gets harder with success. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You kind of got me fired up. I don't know what we're looking like on time here.
We're good, man.
Okay, I had a couple different things. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you mentioned the part about being successful, and then you start closing your hands. And something that I was just thinking about, and I was looking into it, and it was Deuteronomy 8:10-20. And it was basically that God gives us the ability to be successful, and he blessed us with like the land and everything. But then what we do is we start saying like, I did this, and he warns us not to do so, because then at that point we will perish. And so I really think there's almost like that balance of, you didn't do it. You can go and be successful, and God gave you that ability, and I'm going to try to work as hard as I can like we're called to do. But at the end of the day, God gave you that ability. And so for me, I'm trying to say, like, I'm going to go work hard, but no matter what happens, I want to honor and glorify God with that.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing you mentioned was getting more and more wealth. And there was a Harvard business study that they did, and they interviewed high net worth individuals. And so this is people worth $1 million or more. They asked them 2 questions. The first one was, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you? And then the next question was, what amount of wealth would it take for you to be a 10 out of 10? On average, every single person said 2 to 3 times what they actually had. Didn't matter if they're 1 million or 10 million net worth, 100 million net worth. Yeah. All said 2. So I think it's a dangerous thing, is like, we naturally want more and more and more. And, you know, money can buy happiness at the beginning, because as soon as your essential needs are taken care of, then it pretty much just flattens out that curve. Like, you have to have it to be able to do the things you need to do. The car breaks down, you got to be able to fix it, and you're going to be happier with a little bit of money. But at the end of the day, there's a certain point that tapers down. I don't want to get to the end of my life and realize that, like, oh, I was always striving for more and I wasn't taking the time to be content with what you have.
Definitely. Well, think about it. I hope this doesn't steal thunder because you're kind of going into Genesis chapter 3 this coming Sunday.
I'll just cut you off if it does.
Yeah, cut me off if I've stolen your thunder. Or we'll just delay this until afterwards. But, I mean, that's really the exact heart place that Satan goes to cause the fall, was he challenged Adam and Eve's contentment. They'd been given everything. God said, everything here is under your charge, so they had power. Everything you need to eat and survive on is here, so they had provision. They had he saw that man was alone, so he had companionship. He had a partner. I mean, really, that's what people all want, right? We want fame, fortune, and partner, a spouse. He had it all. And Satan knew he couldn't come in and catch him at any other angle, but come in and be like, hey, so you got it really, really good, but what if there's something more?
Yeah. Yeah, he uses confusion, presumption, and ambition.
Yeah.
And he does that in those first 5 verses of Genesis 3, where he offers, like, did God really say that? And then the presumption side of things, are the punishments really that bad?
Yeah.
And then that last one, that ambition side of stuff, is that of, honestly, you could be God.
Yeah.
You could be like God.
Yeah.
And it really begins to push into that lens where all of a sudden, very quickly we're like, actually, I am pretty good at what I do, and I am really successful, and I have worked really hard. And we begin to, that list of priority shifts, the goal shifts, the goalpost gets further away, and that becomes our driving force, is essentially putting ourselves on top. Yeah,
absolutely. It's that old, like an old cartoon from way back in the day of the donkey, and the guy riding the donkey, he's got a stick with a carrot on the end. It's the carrot at the end of the stick kind of thing. He's never going to get it. And contentment is elusive if we look for it in the things that we can accomplish or we can create. It'll never happen. Yeah. I've talked with a lot of guys that are wildly successful. More money. They have more money than I'll ever make in a lifetime. And I've watched how unhappy they are, how much they lack content, and how much that they're missing the things that are the most important in life. Now, on the flip side, money doesn't automatically do that. Success doesn't do that automatically. I've got probably just as many people in my life that have been incredibly successful. They've worked hard. God has blessed their efforts. He's blessed their labor, and they continue to be some of the most genuine, generous, humble, godly people, and they demonstrate incredible levels of content. They live, whether they live modestly or not, like there's just something about them, like, wow, you are a genuinely awesome Jesus follower, and the stuff hasn't changed that. And so I mean, and I think it's easy, for those that aren't doing well financially, and if you're listening, and I get it too. I've been on that side of the table too. Like, I've been a pastor most of my life. Not a lot of Benjamins in the pastorate, man. Not a lot of money to be made there, right? And so, but I've also seen God just be ridiculously faithful, and even at seasons in some of our lowest points, like supernaturally faithful. Like my wife and I have literally been on the receiving end of miracles that there's no explanation for the way God has taken care of us. I wouldn't trade that for anything. Yeah, I wouldn't trade that for anything, because it's just like, wow, I got to experience God's incredible hand in a dark time of my life. And so I think that all of us are pursuing that, saying, like, how do we continue to live in this place where I'm just experiencing God? The reality is success challenges that more than failure. Yeah. I mean, there's a saying that says there's no atheist in a foxhole. And that refers to, when chips are down and things are bad, everybody wants to believe in God, right? Like, like I don't care who you are, but if it's going downhill, God all of a sudden got real. But man, when things are great and you're being blessed and successful, it's so easy to be like, I think I got this. I think I'm good. Yeah. And all of a sudden, God becomes less important to us.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Have you seen maybe what you've kind of walked through, and as you found balance in all this, and especially like your pillars and your priorities, how have you seen that then play out? We talked a little bit at the very beginning, like in the workplace, like in and of itself, like, are you finding yourself confidently speaking to, like, hey, this is how I'm seeing success? Are you beginning to tie the two together, and like, what does that look like?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a dangerous kind of thing on social media for especially younger entrepreneurs. There's a lot of very successful entrepreneurs out there that put out educational videos, and I just saw one this morning on my Instagram feed that was talking about if you're under 30 years old, you shouldn't have work-life balance. You should be working so hard right now. You don't have kids. You probably don't have. And so it's like that is from a very successful entrepreneur that's a few years older than me. I've read 2 of his books, and to see him put something out there like that, if you aren't trying to find the truth and you're not trying to find that balance, it'd be really easy to just say, okay, yeah, that's true. I should just do that. I'll worry about that other stuff later. And I think that's what I was doing for a long time. You know, honestly, I meant it when I told you I don't have the credentials to be on here, and I was not about to come on here. Again, Katie said there might be somebody that needs to hear this. And so I think if there's anybody that is in the shoes I was in a few years ago where it's just like I'm trying to push as hard as possible, it's like it's not the truth. You should have some balance, and you can do both. You can be successful, you can be hardworking, and honor and glorify and have a relationship with God at the same time.
Absolutely.
And so that's just something that I've been seeing starting to play out. I'm kind of reevaluating that. I also think there's different ways to minister. I'm not somebody who's going to just come in and drop Bible verses on people. But there's a way that I can live my life in a way that people ask questions or they can see that something's different. And so that's what I've been trying to do in the workplace. And I've had a few people that have asked questions and say like, hey, something seems different now. And so
interesting. That's cool.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that exactly, but I think I'm just trying to figure that out. And if you're a younger entrepreneur or entrepreneur in general, just know that there is that path that you can take that can do both and glorify God at the same time.
That's so cool to hear, because I'm just like, I see that stuff too. That's like, just be in the grind.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the grind, live in the grind. It's just like, yeah, I get it, but that does weigh on you eventually. And I don't want to, like, that. I feel you can miss so much if that's your sole focus. And it goes back to exactly what we've been talking about. Like, what are you actually seeking in that moment, and when is enough? So find balance in it too. That's great advice.
Yeah. Well, because we've talked about this before. There was even a time in the ministry field where, back to my grandfather's generation, where that actually was the expectation. Like if you're a pastor, if you're in ministry, you don't get to have work-life balance. Yeah. Your life is the church, and your family will suffer, and you have to sacrifice them on the altar and yourself on the altar and all these things. It's like none of that is honoring to God. None of that is biblical. That's not ever the way. And that applies to every possible avenue of all of it. Is that no, this is how we're called to do. That's why we just talked about this last week at the opening of Genesis. God did not rest on the seventh day because he was tired. God doesn't get tired. God wasn't exhausted. God rested to establish a pattern for us to follow. That here's what I'm doing for your good. Have the rest. Have this rest as part of your life, and rest in me. The Sabbath is meant to be a day different than all the others. It's not going legalistic. I remember back when I was a kid, we couldn't go out to eat on the Sabbath. We couldn't do anything hard labor on the Sabbath. We had to, I don't even know what we did on the Sabbath, on Sunday. But that's not what he's saying. He's just establishing this healthy, good pattern for our life. Intentional rest, 100%. Yeah. So you've mentioned your wife several times, which I'm beginning to think that maybe she needs to be a guest here very soon as well. I'd love to hear her side of the story, because she seems like a rock star. I know she's a rock star as well. Yeah. But how have you seen this new over the last couple of years? How long have you been married now?
5 years in July.
All right. So how have you seen like this the last couple of years? How have you seen this now affect in a positive way your marriage?
Yeah, it's completely different. Just going back a little bit, the funny thing about this, and if you guys have her on, you'll be able to hear it, but she has told us that her testimony is we always grew up going to church, and we were going to West Side, and we started dating when we were in high school, so I was 16 years old, and she started coming over, and she said that she just saw something different about my parents and how my family interacted, and she would come to church with us on Sundays. And so, like, they went to church growing up, but she didn't really – it wasn't every Sunday. It was like, if we have time, we'll go check it out. And so she has said that our family is what has brought her to God and to have that relationship with him. And it's just funny because looking at it, it's like so many times like, man, you're the one that brings me closer to him, which I think is really important. I'm super blessed to have that, because if you didn't, I'm sure it'd be way harder. But yeah, she definitely is, keeps me in line, and not only with faith and family and everything, but also like business. We got these investment properties, and I'm just always pushing, and somehow she's like, all right, yeah, I'll design it, or we'll get these things. She's ordering stuff on Amazon. Like, she really is. I needed that. God knew what he was doing with her, because I don't know what I'd be doing. I'd be just going crazy.
Well, what makes a man wise is that he marries up.
That's for sure.
You know,
Yeah.
and I know I did. I married way out of my league, so it's super good days.
Yeah. Do you feel like with Katie and Jack, like for you, the balance has brought maybe I don't know where this, like a deeper love and appreciation though for it? Like, are you seeing like, wow, I actually, back to your grind statement of just like, I'm glad I'm kind of not obsessed with the grind because I feel like I'd be missing some of this right now.
Yeah, it's a completely different perspective, and it's just like I'll start checking myself if it's the Holy Spirit or if it's just me thinking or whatever it is. It's like, all right, were you being patient right there? Was that the best response that you could have? And so it's almost like I'm more introspective about that, and so it's changed the way that I interact with Jack. And I'm trying to be like, sometimes I'm like, oh man, I'm trying to work, but like, all right, I'll hold you. And it's just like, dude, this is such a blessing. We prayed for this.
Yeah.
How are you gonna be upset right now over something that you prayed for to be here, and you have this blessing? And so it definitely changes everything, and just the relationship that I have with Katie and all of that.
Wow,
Yeah, because it'll fast forward. I mean, for both of you guys, and not to speak like the old man on the podcast, but I am the old man on the podcast, so just deal with it. But there's gonna come that moment where before you guys both realize it, you're gonna be dropping your oldest off at college, and that was such a big moment for me. Excited for him to experience this new chapter. But I remember standing in the parking lot outside of where outside his student center dorm or something, and I realized I'm getting ready to hug him goodbye and then leave him. And I was wildly unprepared for the wave of parental regret.
Wow.
That just overwhelmed me of all the things like, wait a second, I didn't do this. I should have done this better. I should have been here more. All these things. And I know every parent goes through that. And so it's not like everybody's like, nailed it, good luck. But there's all that regret. And I was like, man, I wish, not that we can, but I just remember driving home thinking like, man, I wish I could go back and enjoy the baby stage more, enjoy the toddler stage more, or celebrate the little things more, right? Like celebrate the big poops more, all that stuff, because I was busy and I wasn't absent, but I was focused and I was driven, and never, to my knowledge, will there ever be a time where a grown son stands next to his dad on his deathbed and be like, hey, Dad, thanks for selling that last house. Yeah, that was a big deal. Or hey, thanks for putting that extra 20 hours in that 1 week when I was in high school. That means a lot. No kid's gonna say that. It's like, hey, Dad, thanks for dropping everything to come to my baseball game. Thanks for never being unavailable to me when I need to talk. Thanks for praying with me every night. Whatever those are the things that matter. Yeah. And so, my encouragement to any dads out there, no matter where they are, because my sons are grown, my daughters are grown, but I still don't want to miss opportunities to be present with them and invest in them when they're with me, because those are the things that really matter.
Yeah, that's so good.
So
that's really good.
Well, KJ, so good to have you on, man. So we're gonna have to have you back, dude.
Absolutely.
So we didn't really get to talk about the businesses that much, and so we just want to hear more about like we talked about before we went live, like marketplace ministry and Jesus. How do you let Jesus shine? I love what you said. You live in an industry where sometimes to get ahead, it requires a fair bit of shadiness, if sometimes, right? I mean, not that you're used car salesman, but in real estate, we get bad rap. We're just gonna those pipes are fine. It's all good. And so like even just walking a walk of integrity, of Jesus' integrity, that's gonna stand out. And so I think we'd like to have you back sometime and hear that. But I certainly do want to have Katie on here too. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we got it.
Let's have Katie come on, and KJ has to sit over there without a mic.
Yeah, I don't like
listen.
that at
all. Never rebuttal.
Never no rebuttal at all. It's just it's on, but he has to watch it play out. So, hey, thanks for being with us today. Hope you enjoyed this, and appreciate KJ being on. We're going to put this book, link to this book, on our comment section if you want to know more about it. It's on Amazon, and we'll make sure we'll give you that link when this goes live. If you haven't done so yet, hit subscribe or like on whatever platform you're listening on. We're on all the major platforms, and we are here each and every week with you. Thanks for this time. Hope you enjoyed it. I know we had a great time. Thank you, KJ, in a big way, man. So, till next time, it's KJ, it's Andrew, it's Chris. We're out of here, and we'll see you next time around.